Hollywood or corporate media to ever give us the kind of media that we actually have heard that this room is needed for the liberation of our people. Right? It's not going to happen. It's going to come from folks like J-Lo, who got learning about her work and what she's putting out. It's going to come from his sister who's about to put murals up at Penn Station about segregated classrooms, right? Like, it's the alternative media and us paying attention to it and uplifting that as our story that's going to give us power. IDEC will never be successful if you make invisible the struggles of poor people and black people and brown people and Asian people, all of us nationality people, for the sake of college unity. That's not unity. That's not unity. That's saying that, okay, I appreciate you, the shit you say sounds real good, I'm clapping all the right moments, but actually what's more important is this one narrative, right? So I encourage you to think about that. I encourage you to ask the question, democratic education for who? For who, right? If it's a model that maybe only works in middle-class white, communities in the United States, I understand it may be different in other places, name that. Name that. That's not, middle-class white kids need liberatory education too. I'm not trying to hate on them for what they've got. But we need to be honest about where that's at. And not just, whitewash it and make it like a national movement that's going to save the poor brown kids, and black kids. That's maybe not what it's going to be. And so we need to think about, I think the brother from New York that was back here, thinking about what it is to transform already existing systems, because I think there's some people in this space that came doing that. There's a place for that. And then I think there's also people who are talking about creating alternatives, and that's great, and there's a place for that. Those two things don't have to be contrary to one another, right? I'm hurrying, I swear. To the point about going to college and getting jobs, though, I can promise you that in the state of Tennessee, you have a GED, when I get you shit, maybe some, minimum wage, if that, jobs. I can promise you that getting a college degree does not get you a job. As someone with an English major and an African American Studies minor, I can promise you I'm unemployed. And I can promise you that the people I know that went into public health, for sure that they were going to get a job, are working at daycares and working minimum wage jobs. So to come to my hood and tell me that all I got to do is get a GED or a high school diploma, and then to tell me after that all I have to do is get a college degree and I'll get a job is not the case. In fact, even in going to those state schools, we're now paying more to those schools than the state is. So we need to have actually, we need to know the concrete analysis, the concrete conditions of where we're working. I think that, ultimately what I hope is that we learn that, maybe we don't need to step outside of our story, right? Matter of fact, people are getting paid good money to come to my neighborhood and tell me that story-based narratives is how we'll be liberated, right? What we need to think about is, there are some people who have to fight against it. In fact, we're doing it for our survival. Okay, and that ultimately, the unity is not through making invisible people's stories, it's through coming together and figuring out how to collectively live our fullest lives.
Well, I have very little to say. Two things. One is that, idec, from what I hear, should have been called US Tech. Because where's the I? What is about, racist this and racist that? It's just 300 million people. What about the rest of the 6.7 billion of us out there? We don't give a shit what laws we have. So why are we spending all this time talking about that instead of talking about education?
So a lot's been raised, a lot's unresolved. It doesn't have to be. We continue this dialogue and have continued conversations throughout. I do have to close out this space, and I do have a few announcements.